King Solomon receives what we have all dreamt of, which is a blank check from God. Ask whatever you want. And remarkably, Solomon asks for wisdom. He doesn't ask for wealth or health or a long life or the defeat of his foes or anything else that we might ask for. He asks for an understanding heart, the ability to distinguish right from wrong. Solomon chose this so that he might better lead his people, because being a king is no easy task, especially given the situation in which he was to exercise his leadership. Israel was an insignificant nation at the crossroads of the world, with people coming from far and wide all the time. On each side, they were surrounded by pagan nations, each with their own unique religion and practices. And most of these practices around them were at odds with the revelation of the God of Israel. And so as king, Solomon would need to ensure that his people were not tainted by these foreign beliefs. And this required wisdom, cultivating what was good and opposing what was evil. And to some extent, he was successful in this, but by the end of his life, it was clear that Solomon, too, suffered from the same human condition that we all suffer from. He also had clay feet. He compromised, disobeyed, and chose poorly, and because of that, the kingdom which his father David had fought to unite fractured shortly after Solomon's death. Fortunately for us, Jesus has brought us not only true wisdom, but also grace, which heals and perfects our nature. So as Christians, we have everything at our fingertips in order to make of our lives something beautiful for God and to lead others along the path to heaven. And we can distinguish right from wrong in a way that is much better than even Solomon in all of his wisdom could. And we need to cultivate this ability because we live in a culture that is oftentimes at odds with our own beliefs and practices. And today, what is evil is sometimes called good, and what is good is sometimes called evil. And so we need to form our consciences according to the Word of God and the teaching of the church. And we should be very careful who we listen to for moral guidance. And as an example of this, I would like to talk about something that has been on all of our minds in the past months, and that is the issue of responsibility for transmitting infectious diseases. Some people have been rather extreme in this. I still remember many months back when the governor of Washington said everyone has to stay home, and the penalty is that you might kill your grandparents. And this remarkably effective statement was then repeated again and again by other leaders. One writer, not a leader, went so far as to call the human body a bioweapon. And now, so I don't have any qualifications in medicine or infectious disease, but certainly in the field of morality. And I want to say that this idea is wrong. We don't want to pass judgment on the people who have said this, because God will do that. Maybe they were in ignorance or error. We all are from time to time. We know some of them are in moral error because some of the same people who say these things also support abortion and euthanasia, which is inexcusable. And I also want to make it clear, I'm not advocating for recklessness or lack of concern. We should be vigilant, we should be responsible, we should use reasonable precautions, we should make prudent decisions, we should protect the vulnerable. Yes, all of those things. We should do those things. But what I am saying is that we shouldn't be burdened with the thought that our actions might lead to someone else's death, because that is a weight too heavy to bear. especially for young minds. And it's not justified unless, of course, a person is making reckless choices. So there are many ways to think about this, and it would take all day if we were to talk about every aspect. But just a brief explanation. When we talk about the morality of our actions, there are three things that we consider. First is the object, or what we are doing. The second is the intention. And the third is the circumstances. So in this case, if we have a good object, if what we're doing is good and our intention is good, we might still have this circumstance that we are infectious. But that can't change the moral quality of what we are doing. It can't make it wrong or right. So we have to not feel this great burden because it's not helpful. It's very challenging for us. It's hard enough to try to make good choices without this added weight of guilt or fear. One thing that is helpful and that we should repeat again and again and again during these difficult times is the words that St. Paul said from today's second reading. We know that all things work for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. That's the word of God. We know that all things work for good for those who love God and are called according to his purposes. We know this is true. We live under the Father's loving care. Jesus Christ has called us to live in freedom and love. He takes nothing from us and gives us everything. He is the treasure of the field and the pearl of great price, worth giving everything for. And with him we lack nothing. Jesus gives us true wisdom, along with the grace to make us better, wiser people, capable of living in his love in preparation for the eternal kingdom of heaven, where there is no death or sickness or tears, and where God will be all in all. And that is a gift that surpasses what King Solomon received. He couldn't even think or imagine what the gifts that we have been given. So let us be grateful for these and use them carefully, responsibly, and lovingly, and to thank God always for the many blessings he has bestowed upon us.